Can you give us an idea of some of the new things that are coming at NeoVolta that could drive revenue growth, that could drive sales?
Remember I talked about this 208 three-phase capability, right? So imagine strip malls. They're all over the place. You know, in city and suburbia, there's strip malls on almost every corner, right?
Mhm.
Those strip malls, normally the tenants there, they don't own the buildings, they lease them. The owners of the buildings, they don't want you to put solar or anything on the roof because they have the membrane and it's a water risk in the future and all these kind of things, right? There are thousands of medical annexes, as one example, all throughout the country, largely in these strip malls, right? You can go in there and you get your flu shot, you can get a checkup. Oh, do I really need an x-ray? I think I broke my arm, you know, all these kind of things, right? And in all of those facilities are large refrigeration units. And on average, they carry anywhere between $20,000 and $50,000 worth of either, you know, medications or vaccines that have to be refrigerated. And when the power goes out, they throw that stuff in the trash. Okay. So we have a very exciting partnership that is going to deal with this very topic. And the opportunity is going to be for both the MB14 and our additional battery pack, the MB24, right? So taking the energy storage from 14 kilowatts to 24 kilowatts. And we have an amazing opportunity that we're going to make an announcement about here in just a very few weeks. And you can see the need for this. One power outage pays for this system immediately. And they're largely on 208 three-phase commercial power. And these places don't have room for big transformers that give off heat and lots of noise and stuff like this. So whether it's going to be an inside installation or outside installation, predominantly, they're not going to be with solar. They're going to be grid connected, and the batteries are going to be sitting there full all the time waiting for the power outage. And this is just an amazing opportunity. We're super excited about it.
I mean, honestly, that actually seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering why other companies aren't going after this particular thing as well, especially since you're growing to become bigger, but there's already big, massive battery companies. Why don't they care about this business? Is it too small for them and not small for you?
I don't know why that's, you know, I don't want to put words in their mouth. I go, the fact that we don't need the transformer and the fact that we don't need solar, we can do grid charging. That is
And you have a bigger
ideal.
battery, right? Because you have the option to have the 24 kilowatt. I don't think too many actual other manufacturers have that capability. If
That's correct. The majority of them need to add another inverter and battery system.
right, which more than
And
doubles the cost of that basically, and yours doesn't double the cost if you add the extra 10 kilowatts.
that's correct.
Right.
How do I get one in
But
New
if
Jersey?
needed, you could daisy chain 2, 3, 4 NeoVolta batteries onto one system if you needed that capacity.
We can, so it's very easy to take the MV14 and add the extra battery capacity, making an MV24. That's very easy. Right now,
I'm saying if I want another NV24 or 3 NV24s, a massive location, and I want that backup, whether it's for load or for just longevity, like say the power, like Puerto Rico, power goes out for a week, the battery is going to be dead in 2 days. I need more, right? I need more time without power.
You can add additional systems, but right now they need their own grid connection and their own loads connected to them. That's right now. We're working on some other stuff on that as well. But you can add more than one MV14 energy storage system.
Last we talked, I think you were in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 states. What is the status of your actual expansion out to the country? And are you going to the rest of the world? What's happening there?
So guys, if you're watching this interview with Brent from NeoVolta, you're obviously into EVs. You're obviously into solar, and you're obviously into solar energy systems. Join our Discord. We have multiple channels related specifically to this. You will be in great company, guys that are super knowledgeable, great questions, great links, and great information. So hit like, subscribe, join the free Discord. We talk about this stuff just as fans of the technology and also as it relates to stocks.
Guys, why don't you join us? It's free to join the Discord at least. And come on down. We're talking about EVs. We're talking about Tesla, Solar Edge, Enphase. So if you love energy, we're talking about it all day. We have a lot of people already, basically like 150, 200 people talking about just stocks all day long. And the last thing I will mention is that we have private section for the Patreon members. So I'll quickly show that. It's $5 to support us. Even if you don't care about the Discord or anything, please join if you like what we're doing, the conversations we're having. It's $10 and $20 for the people who really love us and want us to afford gas in this recessionary time. So please give it a look. Patreon, $5. And for that, you actually get a couple of things. We have some member updates that are private. We have trades that we show that we actually buying. And for example, buying some Bitcoin. And anyone who wants to track my trades and Carlos's trades. We also have another section called spreadsheets where we actually post our projections, things about Tesla, things about Enphase. If you're curious how our numbers work out and you want to put in your own numbers, well, join the Patreon, $5, and you get access to the spreadsheets. There you go. Back to Brent.
Back to Brent.
Last we talked, I think you were in, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 states. What is the status of your actual expansion out to the country? And are you going to the rest of the world? What's happening there?
We are in 15 states currently. Most of it's
You added 10 states approximately over a year.
yes, and mostly Sunbelt. We've got a big opportunity coming up in Florida very soon. We've already been in Florida, but we've got a very large installer that we'll be shipping to them here pretty soon. And there's another very large order going to Puerto Rico very soon. You know, they got hit by this Hurricane Fiona that sat there for 3 days and dumped like 30 inches of rain. It was crazy. We held up, no problems whatsoever, did an amazing job. And I'm pretty sure because of the continuous grid issues in Puerto Rico that those contracts are going to expand rapidly as well. So, but you asked about the worldwide. Yep. So we're talking to large installers in Costa Rica, and we're looking to expand down to South America over this next year as well. So we've got a lot of things going on, a lot. Which mainly is why I needed to hire some people to take some workload off so I could focus on what really matters. Look, this next year is going to be incredible for us. I'm super excited about the prospects of everything that I know soon to be announced or that are continuing to expand. It's going to be an amazing ride. You know, these are two NV14s on the same residential install. This one happens to have DC only solar panels, and this one has AC and DC combined on the same system. Okay. Right. So they got both types of solar. And this is a customer who's got 2 NV14s and 2 NV24s.
Wow.
What are all those boxes up top?
So combiner boxes, solar boxes, load boxes. Some of this is required by the utility. These are disconnects.
Right. Those I've seen. So you have a critical systems box. Those 3 boxes there, are those the critical systems?
Those are the systems that we power all the time, grid on or grid off. Very typical looking install. Very typical. That's all it is. Not wires and boxes all over the place. Typically, obviously, you do larger systems.
Is this you're walking through? Are these your offices over there?
Patent.
What was the patent for? Just
no.
We can't know.
We're gonna pause the video and read it later, Brent. Like you might as well come clean.
Here's kind of the production facility. You know, hey, it's on the weekend. We're talking, so the guys have finished up. But that's in the gray cabinet. That's an MV14 kiosk that's being built. That will get finished up on Monday. But there's normally 5 or 6 of them going down the line here. And obviously, we've got 2 sides of the line. Most of the time, MV14s or their derivatives going down one side, and MV24s are going down another side. These are MV14Ks that'll get packaged up this next week and get ready to ship out. And, you know, they go 4 on a pallet.
Can you show us around there? Just stand there and just take a look around the factory. Like, how big is your space? I think we saw it once before, but
about 26,000 square feet. Yeah. So these are like single MV14s getting ready to ship out. If it's multiple, like on Friday, we shipped 24 MV14s and 6 MV24s, and we'll put 4 MV14s on a pallet.
Based on what I saw in the factory, can you hold inventory, built NV14 and NV24 batteries and customize them for customers' needs via software, or do you have to do? Is there a hardware customization component that requires you to build them made to order, essentially?
Yeah, no. So we pre-build and we have inventory in stock all the time. And so the only difference is really occurs on the installation site. You know, if they're adding generator, do they have to add a transfer switch? If it's a 208 3-phase, it's a settings change. If it's a DC solar instead of AC solar, well, you just hook it up on those connections instead of the AC connections. And then the thing is, once they get the app and the communications connected, so that the smartphone's got the app and is working, all that stuff is does the customer want to hold a higher reserve of battery? So you get a lot of people that, whether it's everything from a home office to somebody who's got medical equipment and that kind of stuff. So they don't necessarily want to save money versus a utility. They always do, right? But they definitely want a certain amount or percentage of the battery held as a reserve in case the grid goes down.
Yeah.
And in some areas, people only care about grid outage, right? And so that's either the installer either does it manually themselves on site. I mean, literally takes a minute, or it can be done remotely by us. They just send us a note and say, hey, this customer wants the following. Or, another example is, hey, their time of use period is different than how it comes from you guys. How do I change that? And
So
we just
so to be clear, that's not something that the customer can do via the app. Like, I'd love to see the actual app if you have a device where we can look at what the interface looks like on the app.
Yeah, currently that's one thing that we cannot do is the customer cannot make settings changes via the app, right? That's one negative, right? We're working on that. I think within a year we'll have that solved. The architecture of the app just will not allow it. It's already maxed out. And
Right.
so a new app is in, or an improved app is under development right now. And we're hoping that certainly within the next year, that those functions will be built in. But that's always kind of a double-edged sword, because sometimes people change things. They do it for a temporary basis, like they want to make the battery go to 100% because they know the grid's going to go down, or they know a big winter storm is rolling in, or something like that. But then they forget to go back and change it. And then 2 months later, hey, why do I have a big energy bill? What happened to the energy storage system? And so we have to build in some mechanisms to revert that stuff, unless they,
Prompts.
have a permanent function versus a temporary function. So we're working on those things.
Does the actual hardware itself already have the Wi-Fi incorporated into it, or you still have to
Yes.
also? Okay.
Yes.
So you just need the app, not the actual unit has to change, really.
Correct. Just the app.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have an app that you can control other people's devices, but it's only for internal use, basically. It's for installer use.
The,
and for your
the
company.
installer can, and we can, yes. And so the customer just tells the installer what they want and set
Right.
it up. They either do it on site, or we'll do it remotely via the app.
So what the customer's looking at is mostly monitoring. It's like right
Correct.
now, on my Enphase solar panels, I can't make any real adjustments to the system. I can
Correct.
just monitor it. I can monitor an outage, and I can monitor what it's producing. But that's basically
Correct. There's a need for that, right? And we're working on that. We clearly see that. The issue is you got to kind of think your way through all the different scenarios and situations and make it such that the app can anticipate that stuff. Notice on the top left, that's DC solar. In the top center, that's AC solar. So say we do both, and we can do both simultaneously. The top right, that utility high tension power looking thing, that's really the main service panel and or the utility, right? The bottom left is the battery, and the bottom right is the home, what the home is using.
I
Interesting.
mean,
So
yeah.
it's-
So honestly, this is fine for someone just monitoring the system, and they
Yeah.
would know if something goes down, right?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. Most homeowners should not be touching any sort of,
Shouldn't be touching any settings. Yeah. But for guys like myself and Vitaly, we would,
Yeah.
we want to get in there and mess around.
we want to break it and then have you come test it.
Right. Understood. And soon we'll help you do that.
Okay. At least the last question I have, I think we've caught up pretty well with you, Brent. And when can I get this in New Jersey? Because the reason I found your company NeoVolta over a year ago is because I was looking for an energy solution for my house, and I was like, "What is this? I've never heard of this." And then you were on the OTC, and I was like, "I got to invest," but I still can't get an actual NeoVolta battery. So
Yeah.
how do I get one in New Jersey?
How much does he have to spend?
We largely have been kind of word of mouth.
I'm a shareholder. You owe me a battery.
Word of mouth is how we get customers. Word of mouth is also how we've how installers have found us, right? And but soon we're going to start some more targeted marketing and moving into areas and moving further and further north. We focused on the sun belts because that makes the most sense solar wise. And then also, you get outages, whether it's the preemptive outages because of the fire risk in states like California, or it's the post natural disaster risk everywhere up and down the eastern seaboard, right? And so we're expanding into those areas. We'll be soon reaching out and getting installers in areas that we're not at currently.
The issue is that there's no installer in New Jersey. That's why I can't get the battery, because if there was, then you can just send them the battery and they can install it. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Well,
So I
that
gotta
was my
find an
question.
installer.
That was my question. Like there is no.
If you've got your solar installer, why don't you call them and tell them to call NeoVolta, to send NeoVolta a note on the website, and we'll onboard them and you'll get a system.
Got it.
And and literally it doesn't take that long. I mean, installers contact me routinely. They get, I send them spec sheets and how everything works, usually within a few hours. And, within a week or two, we're setting up doing some training, whether it's here at our facility or if it's via Zoom, what have you. And once they sign a dealer agreement, we can start shipping systems to them right away.
Got it. There's nothing that prevents you from actually shipping it all across the country. It's just the installer network, really.
Correct. That's
Yeah,
correct.
that was my question. If there's anything inherent about New Jersey per se that a regulatory issue or a permitting issue, it's really just more a logistics issue and an installer issue at this point.
Right.
Here's a
Right.
question. I'm a DIY guy. My background is engineering, by the way. If I wanted to install a NeoVolta system myself,
Can
can I
Vitaly
buy
zap him and blow
install it?
himself up if you wanted
If you're a licensed registered
My choice.
electrician and you can meet the regulatory burden of your jurisdiction, then sure, but that's generally not the case. You need a licensed installer, which predominantly is somebody that's already selling and installing solar.
Right. Well, no. Well, first of all, I do know a solar installer that installed my panels, but I'm just curious if a homeowner, because in New Jersey, you're allowed to work on your own house as long as you get a permit. So I'm just curious if a homeowner can buy a system from you or not.
No, not directly through us. No.
Got it.
There's too much risk. You're dealing with electrical things. You really got to know what you're doing. So
Understood. Makes sense.
Well, this was our most efficient interview with you. I think we did like 3.5, 4 hours last time and got it down to an hour. This was super efficient. We've only done an hour, and I feel like we got a bunch of information. So I appreciate it. I appreciate the time, and congratulations on all. You have been busy. I got to say, you really have been busy. A lot of times people say that and they don't come through, but you had a lot of great announcements, and also looks like we've got some more announcements that you'll be able to talk about in a couple months.
we do. I'm really excited about that. And yeah, it's been a year, but I probably look 10 years older. So, it has.
You look a little slimmer. I got to say, you look a little slimmer. Like you've been working.
Work to death.
I do want to ask.
Loving every minute of it.
Before we go, you said you raised 4.1 million. Is that basically now you have a cash balance that you can use that 4.1 currently in the bank for whatever growth you're going to have in the future, correct?
Correct.
That's actually good to know. A lot of small companies, by the way, don't have any cash balance now. As we know, we talk about them. They're burning money like crazy. So I assume you're being very efficient with that.
I would imagine.
Zero debt. We have zero debt, and we're being extremely targeted.
Brent, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on again, and we hope to see you in another maybe 6 months to a year, and catch up again.
Anytime, my pleasure.
That was cool.
Amazing. It's nice to see a small company sort of its progression, right? Because we haven't talked to him for a year, so it's just nice to hear it,
No, and he's come through on what he said he was going to do. It really seems like he's been super busy handling the business that he said he was going to handle. So like you said, it's nice to watch that journey, right, of a small startup now listed on the NASDAQ, and we'll see what's next. I mean, hopefully it won't be another year. We'll catch up with him in a few months, but that's great. It was great seeing him.
We're both considering batteries, but
I have been considering batteries. I don't know how you guys were. California, we had that heat wave the last couple of weeks, like around Labor Day weekend, and I had a couple of flash power outages, which actually ended up, I'm not sure if it was directly, but I attribute it to it. I think that's what blew the fuse on my AC compressor, which then caused me to have 12 hours without any AC, and I had to get an electrician to come in. So just for the safety and the backup of it, I've been considering getting a battery backup.
So
and
basically,
now
we're talking possibly considering a NeoVolta battery because they have a 14.4 kilowatt, and if it's cheaper than the other brands, honestly, it's nice to have an integrated system. We talk about this like with Enphase and everything, but honestly, I just want the cheapest battery in my house for emergencies. I don't want it for anything else except when something bad happens.
I mean, to be honest, that to me is what the rub that, like, now I'm introducing yet another company. Like the NeoVolta system would be my battery management, and I have my Enphase for the solar panels. As much as they say that it works together, I don't know. Well,
it's just a battery. Remember, it's like you take Duracells and you put them in your whatever.
I know, but I mean, I can also just get the Enphase battery and have it all.
It's way more expensive. It's twice as expensive.
Yeah. That's the rub for me is like doing this. It's like building it a la carte. It's kind of like, it's the same argument that people make when they say they build a custom PC, right? You build a custom PC, it's a fraction of the cost with way more power than, say, buying an Apple Macintosh. But having the all-in-one solution, the convenience of it, is why I keep buying a Mac. And so I don't know, but I'm going to look into it now, especially now that they would give you a 30% tax credit on just the battery install alone. If they're already cheaper than the competitors, this battery could be like dirt cheap. It could literally pay for itself.
Well, this is what I'm talking about. If you're saving 30% and the battery is cheaper, that's when his battery makes total sense.
Mm,
If his was more expensive than an N-phase system, I would say, what's the point? Just buy the N-phase system.
yeah.
But if it's actually significantly less than an N-phase system, and I think it is, by the way, I think N-phase has one of the most expensive systems, and I'm an N-phase bull, okay? So they don't have their battery thing at this point yet where I would even pay for it. But NeoVolta, I might buy a 14.4 kilowatt, get the extra 10 kilowatts too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it'll still be cheaper than trying to get like 3 or 4 N-phase batteries. That's what that means.
I mean, what that would allow me to do, that extra capacity would allow me to basically send all of the power during time of use, high peak time of use, all of it back to the grid all the time.
Yeah.
So it would allow me to save a lot of money. I would save, even if I'm charging my cars off the grid, it would still save me a lot of money. It would allow me to maximize the money that I'm making, the net metering. So I'm going to look into it. Maybe that'll be something for a future episode. We can finally get batteries on our systems.
Okay, if we're using this, well, thanks again, everybody. Check it out. Check out Brent's interview from before. Hit like and subscribe, hit the bell, and we'll see you on the next one.